Okay, so Joe Biden sent a letter to all the major news networks demanding that they stop allowing Rudi Giuliani on their shows. Rudi Giuliani is Donald Trump's personal lawyer, and he's been going on, CBS and ABC and all the major networks and basically exposing Joe Biden's corruption. And so Joe Biden is angry, and he wrote an actual letter to all the major news networks. Joseph Biden's presidential campaign contacted top television anchors and networks on Sunday to demand that Rudolph Giuliani, President Trump's personal lawyer, be kept off the air because of what they called his misleading comments about the Biden family in Ukraine. The note, which was obtained by the New York Times, was sent to executives and top political anchors at ABC, CBS, CNN, Fox News, and NBC, including star interviewers like Jake Tapper, Chuck Todd, and Chris Wallace. I mean, this is just hilarious. You know how everyone always goes about, everyone makes fun of Trump calling the media fake news? Now you have Joe Biden basically calling them fake news, saying that they're just spewing falsehoods from Trump's camp. So he's calling them fake news, okay, in other words. And this letter is really hilarious. I mean, this guy is a presidential campaign, and he's demanding, literally it says demand in the letter. We write to demand that in service to the facts, you no longer book Rudi Giuliani, a surrogate for Donald Trump who has demonstrated that he will knowingly and willingly lie in order to advance his own narrative. I mean, this is really hilarious. The stones, like this guy really has some stones. You know, the media is considered the fourth branch of government, right? Independent from the executive and the legislative and the judiciary. And you're trying to meddle with that? I mean, how does that make you different from Trump, who also attacks the media all the time and calls them fake news? It doesn't really. Matter of fact, you're not that different from Trump, Joe Biden. I mean, the corruption that they've both engaged in is it's almost the same crime, basically extorting the Ukrainian government for a favor. And again, we're not here to defend Donald Trump. I mean, like we've said many times on the show, there are way worse things that you could impeach Trump on. Way before this Ukrainian phone call, the genocide in Yemen, the emoluments clause, profiting off of his own businesses while he's in office, children dying at the border. What about those? Those don't count? It only counts now. They only want to impeach Trump now because he went after one of the club. Okay? Joe Biden is one of the club. He's one of us. He's one of the elites. And even though Donald Trump is very rich, he's not really part of that Washington crowd. He's kind of an outsider. And so he went after one of the Washington crowd. And that's where they're trying to get him now because he broke the golden rule. Okay? So that's why this is happening. This letter is clearly a sign that the Biden camp is very scared. They're scared because these corruption charges are true. And, I mean, you don't need to be a genius to figure it out. His son, who has no experience in gas or oil or the energy industry, who has no connection to Ukraine, he's suddenly offered a board position at a company and he's getting paid $50,000 a month. Dude, there are some of your constituents that don't even make $50,000 a year. So what the hell is your son doing there? And then the same thing when he goes to China, his son also gets a deal there. No, man. No. The funny thing is what the Biden camp is not telling you here. If you read the rest of the article in the New York Times, okay, it says that on Sunday, Mr. Giuliani made freewheeling appearances on Face the Nation on CBS and This Week on ABC to discuss the impeachment inquiry. Producers at both shows also requested interviews with Mr. Biden. The Biden campaign declined the invitation and instead offered its national co-chairman, Cedric Richmond, an option that the producers rejected. So they're complaining that Rudi Giuliani is going on television and spreading these lies about Biden, but Biden won't come on the air and defend himself, even though he was asked by the producers, by the same channels, to come on the air and defend himself and respond to these accusations. And he won't come on the air. And what does he do instead? He writes some memo ordering them not to put Rudi Giuliani on the air. I mean, this is just, what is that? This is unacceptable, okay? And the reason Biden won't come on the air is because, he's clearly in the wrong. There's nothing to defend. We know that you're corrupt. There's a video of Biden bragging about how he got that prosecutor fired
I looked, I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Oh, son of a bitch. Got fired.
His mental state has been declining. His cognitive functions are not as sharp as they used to be. And so that's why his campaign won't let him on the air. So this isn't just exclusive to the whole Ukrainian issue. This guy hasn't been on the air the entire duration of his campaign now. As for Mr. Biden, he has shown little eagerness to engage one-on-one with TV anchors. The former vice president has declined to appear on any of the weekend political talk shows since declaring his candidacy. His campaign won't let him go on the air because when Joe Biden speaks in front of a crowd, he fumbles. He says racist crap. He says really ignorant stuff. You remember during the last debates when he said that black parents don't know how to raise their kids and they need to put on the record player more? Like, what are you talking about, you senile old fool? What are you saying? So again, man, this guy is a danger to himself. It's like Hillary Clinton, you know? Joe Biden and Hillary Clinton, they both have a lot of valuable name recognition, but the more they get on the air, the more they speak to crowds, boom, their popularity plummets. They plummet in the polls because they're a danger to themselves. They don't represent anything. They're just corporate establishment hacks, okay? And when they speak, they're not speaking to anything. They're not speaking on any substance. So they're a danger to themselves. And that's why his campaign hasn't let him on the air. And that's why he won't be on the air to defend himself now. So this is really funny. You know, they just write a memo to demand that Rudi Giuliani stays off the air, but they won't come on the air and defend themselves? No, man. You can't have your cake and eat it. No. This is ridiculous. And, you know, one of you asked me to actually comment on Rudi Giuliani's tweets. Man, I didn't even know that this guy had a Twitter account. It is so hilarious. You go on his Twitter and, I mean, he's just like Trump. Trump's lawyer is like Trump. His Twitter is just all day. He's like mashing away, you know, throwing fireballs at Biden's camp.
Also, support everything I say with affidavits. I have an affidavit here that's been online for 6 months that nobody bothered to read, from the gentleman who was fired, Victor Shokin, the so-called corrupt prosecutor. The Biden people say that he wasn't investigating Hunter Biden at the time. He says under oath that he was. The truth is that I was forced out because I was leading a wide-ranging corruption probe into Burisma Holdings and Joe Biden's son. That's under oath by the prosecutor who was handling the case.
And man, I mean, again, we're not here to defend Trump, but we have to call out the Democrats' corruption too. And what Rudi Giuliani is saying is on point. Biden is corrupt as day, man. You can see it clearly. And all that the leftist, liberal news outlets are doing now, like CNN and MSNBC, is they're defending Joe Biden at all costs. Okay, if you look at the articles that CNN is putting out, every single article, they always put in this line that there is no proof of wrongdoing by Joe Biden or his son. Well, prove that. You can't prove that. Biden's son was using his dad's position in power to get on board positions and get into companies and set up funds and take out loans and do business dealings in foreign countries that he would not have been able to do if his dad was not the vice president and didn't exert so much influence and power from the White House. End of story. You don't have to be a brain surgeon or a rocket scientist to figure this out. So yeah, this was just hilarious cowardice and, you know, an utterly senseless act by the Biden camp. Once again, just this whole Ukraine debacle is really something. There you go.